Swords were always my first choice in weapons, in which they were my favorite, dueling engagement. Watched from the courtyard up above as my father was staring down at me from the small window that overlooked the cobbled stable yard. He stood there, hands clasped behind his back, and watched. I frowned a bit, irritated with him for making me do this in this weather just 20 minutes before our meeting. It was hot and steamy outside, for I'd stripped shirtless except for my breeches and boots, with sweat already streamed down my body. I looked ahead, holding my long cutlass as it curved at the tip. A burly, bearded white man with bulging biceps wielded a long blade in his right hand. He had scars split across his neck and chest, indicating many fistfights in a tavern or brothel, for he was shirtless but had bottoms on and was barefoot. It had been a while since I wielded a blade, and my nerves cramped up inside my arms. What if I miss? I knew my father was watching me, and that made it all the more scary. Two red-headed twins sat on a bale of hay together, and I assumed they were his most recent instructees, for they were plum red in the face. The man exercised me in the manual of arms, the 6 parries, and the 4 report of sword fighting. The man nodded for me and sweat beat in my face. "On guard, Henry!" He laughed. We both fought half a dozen inconclusive engagements. The sword banged and rang against mine, and I almost sprawled against the dirt of the stables, out of breath, and panting with the sun and sweat. Mr. Canterbooks was seeing I was growing weary, for my arms slacked low. "Last one, lad! This time I mean to hit you!" That phrase drove the fear out of me. My expression hardened, and I immediately went into the guard stance and quarter, point of my blade high. Mr. Canterbooks' eyes then read my move before he launched at me. We touched blades, and Mr. Canterbook came at me, right foot leading, graceful as a dancer, a feint into the high line, and I saw it. I parried with fierce riposte, as the instructor recoiled and made a counter riposte, in the line of the engagement, fast as a viper. "Come on, Mr. Canterbooks! Mark his face clean off!" One of the red-haired boys bellowed. "I'll slice his balls and cut his stomach to bleed! I want to see blood!" He must have only been the age of 10. I grinned under sweat as my sawed long hair stuck to my face. I attempted the correct parry low quarter in a move I learned from my father, but my hand lacked an inch of speed. I heard the slither of steel over steel, and I watched as the big man stopped an inch from my nipple as it cut my white shirt. "Faster, howl like a hawk!" he bellowed. I recovered smoothly, but my wrist felt weak and my blade was off. I peered down and saw an opening slash, a small cut that would heal in 2 days on my shoulder. I grew furious and launched. I could see the bait, and I jumped. I took a double step forward and drove my blade at him. We crossed blades, and I headbutted the man's head, which rocked my skull and lulled my eyes, but the man's eyes rolled, and he stumbled back on his butt, spitting spit. The boys cheered for me, and I heard my father crow from behind. I dropped the sword and wiped sweat from my forehead. My father called from the upstairs window of the parlor. "Good job, son!" And I felt excitement from him, watching me and see me bested the man. Mr. Canterbooks stumbled up, cocked his jaw, and picked up his blade. "Good job, but never change. Charge forward. To open your guard and your plunder. A sword will stab home if you do. You got lucky with that coup at the end." "Delighted, Master Canterbooks, but it looks to me I bested you today." I grinned as the big man frowned as the boys laughed on the hay bales. "Henry, get up here to be washed and changed for our meeting at the Bombay House." My father called. I slipped my blade back in its sheath. As I began to walk back to the door, dabbing my head with a cold cloth that led up the stairs, I saw a posting on the wall next to the door. It was a poster drafted the day before and sent down to be printed by the press on Cannon Street. This was a full press. It read, "Prize money, hundreds." The headline bellowed in black ink. The text below was on a smaller font size, but more flamboyant and rich, with scattered exclamation marks and high-cast letters. "Captain Jack Mildus, hero of the wars against Russia, master mariner and navigator, captain of Dutch galleons, and his fabled ship the Republic, has pursued many capital voyages to Ireland, Scotland, and Finland, fought and vanquished foes with great capture of rich treasures and vast booty, has berths for good and true men on a new ship called the Hourglass, a 36-gun East Indiaman of great power and speed, fitted out and viculated with attention to the comfort and care of officers and men. Those seamen who have made their fortune of prizes and want to sail on this voyage, they will be paid a share price of money as much as £200 each man. Sailing under letters of marque, issued by His Majesty King William III, God bless him, Captain Middledust will seek out enemies of the Crown in the ocean of the Indies and Scottish Highlands of winning their prize, of which one half to be shared by the officers and crew. All good seamen seeking employment and fortune will be heartily welcome to take a pot of ale with the quartermaster, Mr. Craig Bushwhacker, and the chief warrant officer of Middledust, Mr. Evan Smith, at the Plough in Taylor's Lane. If you are searching for any prizes, this is the pamphlet to ledger your name. I smiled at myself seeing this posting and truly wanted to sign up for it to sail on great adventures one day like my father did, although something in me felt like something else waited for me in the church. A different life.